You've heard a lot about worm castings, and based on the benefits, you decided that you want a worm farm of your own so that you can produce enough castings to use in your garden. So you get your worm bin started and you're all excited because this year you're going to have castings for your garden. The problem is you've just started your worm farm maybe a few weeks or a few months ago, so you don't have enough castings to cover your entire garden. What can you do to reap the benefits of worm castings in your garden? Hi, I'm White Davy. Welcome to White Davy Garden and Worm Farm. In today's video, we are going to be discussing what you can do to get the benefits of worm castings in your garden if you don't have enough to cover your garden. Did you know that if you only have 1 cup of worm castings, you can actually have enough worm castings to cover your garden? How is that possible, you might ask? Well, here is what you will do to ensure that you get the benefit from just 1 cup of worm castings to cover 1 acre of property. Before we go further into this video, I'd strongly recommend watching this video to the very end because there are a lot of practical information that you may need. So please watch the video to the very end. All you need is 5 gallons of water, 1 cup of worm castings. You want a mesh to separate the castings from the water, or if you're using a pump. If you're not using a pump, you can just put the castings directly into the water without having a screen. If you're going to be spraying your plants, then you definitely will need to have a screen. This you're going to allow to sit for 24 hours. When you put your worm castings in the water, you want to mix it for a bit if you're putting it directly in the water. If you are putting it in a strainer, you want to shake off those microbes into the water and then allow it to sit for 24 hours. Now this is only 5 gallons of worm tea, but this can actually be diluted to make 20 gallons. And to do that, you will use 1 part worm tea to 4 parts water. So this is a 5-gallon bucket, so from that you will end up with 20 gallons of worm tea. And this is how you cover your entire garden with just 1 cup of worm castings. So this solution, this worm tea, this volume of worm tea can cover up to 1 acre. If you want to increase the volume of microbes in your worm tea quickly, then you may need to feed them more than just the worm castings. You will need to add a tablespoon of fish hydrolysate and a tablespoon of kelp, or you can use a tablespoon of molasses instead of the kelp, and that will be enough food to feed the microbes and to increase the microbe population. Another trick that you can use to get even more microbes is to put an air pump in this solution and aerate it, and that's where you will drastically increase the number of microbes, because at the end of the day, it is the microbes that are in the soil that is going to enable your plants to use the nutrients that is in the soil. And that is why you need to make the worm tea or the worm castings, because it produces quite a lot of microbes. If you're contemplating starting a worm farm, but you are hesitating for whatever reason, then you are invited to join a free webinar which will discuss some of the factors that cause people to hesitate or even never get started in starting a worm farm. And we'll be looking at these causes individually and see what steps can be taken to ensure that you get your worm farm up and running. This webinar, as I mentioned before, is free. So if you are interested, please subscribe to my channel, turn on your notification, because the detail of this webinar will be given in another video. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day. Yeah man, a time for grow.